and welcome back to my channel. For those that are new here, my name is Ilenia and this is Soft Skill Atelier, where I teach you all the skills you need to bring your fashion ideas to life, from concept to completion. Till the end of the year, I will release more frequent videos about technical sewing details. I get asked to explain those details a lot in my sewing classes, therefore I thought it would also be interesting for other sewers, designers and creators out there. This video is the first one of a series of 5 technical tutorials all about details in pants. In this video I show you how to make front pockets in pants. I show you how to make a pattern and sew them step by step. The follow-up videos that are going to be released in the next weeks will focus on those topics. How to sew in a zip fly, how to sew a yoke in the back of the pants, how to sew back pockets, and how to sew a waistband with a button. But now we get started by looking at all the tools and materials we need to make those pockets. So let's do it!
So, I am using a pants pattern I made in another video where I show you how you can trace your own clothes. In that video, I make a pants pattern from one of my own pants. If you want to get your own pattern, feel free to use my tutorial to do so yourself. To copy the pattern, I'm using this transparent tissue paper. For the pants fabric, I use this corduroy cotton fabric I bought once on a designer fabric stock sale. I need an extra fabric for the pocket lining. It should be thin and preferably cotton as well. I need fabric scissors and paper scissors. Also some sort of fabric marker, a pencil, and also maybe a thicker marker, some pins and sewing yarn. I use a contrast yarn to make my stitches more visible, and a set square. Furthermore, probably some weights. A short disclaimer: for material saving purposes, for this video I will create very short pants and will only focus on the waist and the hip area because that's where all the details are I will work on for this video. So that doesn't mean that you should do the same. Please make sure your pants are the right length on the pattern. Here a quick overview on what I will create now. To make pockets, I need to create 4 pattern pieces. The pants pattern will be separated in 2 parts. The one that is the main part in front of the pocket opening, and the smaller one that is the back of the pocket opening. Pattern piece number 3 and 4 are the 2 pocket sides with 2 different size pocket openings. For this video I am using only the front part of the pants pattern. First thing I do is drawing on the original pattern where my front pocket should be. The opening should be big enough to get your whole hand in. I am making round pocket openings like the ones you find on jeans. If you want to make pockets that are more often seen on suit pants, the ones with a straight opening, you can still use my tutorial to follow along. Just draw a straight line instead of a curved one. I am drawing my curve freehand for the waistline to the sideline on the outside upper corner of the front pattern. As a second line, I am drawing the pocket. I am making sure the pocket is the right size so you can fit the whole hand in while having the hand in the pocket all the way until the wrist, but not deeper. That's a comfortable position for your hand. To secure the pocket in place, I will draw a connection all the way to the center front so that the pocket can be sewn to the zip seam eventually. The pocket should have round corners in the bottom so that there won't be much dirt and crumbs collecting in the corners. On the side seam of the pants, I will also draw a short connection line so the pocket won't float around too much. After I have marked the pockets, I will start tracing the pattern pieces out of the original pattern. I have a dart on my pattern, but since I don't want the dart to be in my pockets, I will close the dart with some tape before I will trace the pocket pattern pieces. It's a bit tricky because the paper doesn't lay flat anymore, but it's still possible if you trace it carefully. One more mark needs to be made, 2 centimeters or 2/3 of an inch next to the pocket opening. I need to draw another parallel curve. I will explain in a bit why this line needs to be there. Please observe carefully how I parallel shift a curved line by simply using the set square. It's much easier than you think. After that, it's finally time to start copying those pattern pieces out with the transparent paper. I place the paper over the whole part where the pockets are placed. To make sure the paper won't move during the tracing, I add some weights. Now I start happily tracing all the lines that are part of the pocket. We start with the first pocket part that will be the front pocket side. This one will be the one with a smaller round pocket opening. After removing the white pattern paper underneath, I realized that my pencil lines are almost invisible, and I had to retrace them with a marker. After that, I made sure that every side has its own seam allowance, and then I cut out my first pattern piece. The second pattern piece I trace is that small bit that is on top of the pocket opening. That is the same fabric than the whole pants. For this piece, I'm using the bigot pocket opening curve. Again, the same procedure, tracing, then I continue with the second pocket piece. That is exactly the same layout than the first one, but this time I am using the bigger pocket opening curve. That last pattern piece is the big long leg part. The one that I decided to make very short, but if your pants should be long, please trace the whole leg now. For this, I reopen my dart. In case your pants don't have a dart, just ignore this step. Now I trace all the outlines except the corner with the pocket opening. For this pattern piece, I again used a smaller round opening. I am preparing this pattern also for the next video, so what we need to keep in mind is that we will have a zipper in the center front. For that, I need to add an extra 1 centimeter, the whole length of the zipper, plus a centimeter on top and 1 on the bottom. While I was copying my dart lines, I realized that I don't like how close my dart is to the opening of the pocket. So I decided to move my darts 1.5 centimeters towards the center front. And then after adding all the missing seam allowances, it's also time to cut out the last pattern piece. And that's it. These are the 4 pattern pieces for the pants with front pockets. And now it's quite nicely visible how they are all overlapping with each other, so that they eventually create these really nice front pockets. Moving on straight to cutting out the pieces in their designated fabric. The 2 pocket pieces will be cut out on double layered thin cotton. The 2 pants piece will be also cut out double on the corduroy. Now that we have everything cut out and gained some sort of overview, I would like to start with taking care of the edge of the small outside part. I will frame the round edges with the overlock seam. If you don't have an overlocker, a zigzag stitch or a household machine with an overlock copy seam works as well. Next, I will top stitch a rounds on top of the pocket parts with the bigger rounds, making sure that they keep the original shape of the pants pattern and not overlapping more or less than they are supposed to. Then I will take care of the darts in the big pants part. So far I have not made any marks for the placement of the dart legs, so I bring back the pattern and place it on top of the pieces to make some marks for the dart. To make a mark for the lowest part of my dart, I need to poke a hole through the pattern paper. I make one point through the paper with the fabric marker and then connect the lines towards the two upper dart positions. Then I fold the two dart leg lines so that they line up with each other and pin them together, really making sure that the two legs are lining up. And then I sew along those lines and create the darts. Next step, I add the pocket pieces with the smaller rounds to the outside of the big pants part, pinning them together along the round pocket opening. And then also sewing along the rounds. To neatly flip the pocket parts around, I need to first make cuts into the seam allowance, so that the fabric can be folded around smoothly. The cuts should be very regular and almost all the way down to the seam, but careful, never cut into the seam. Then I flip the pocket fabric around and press it thoroughly with the iron. This is how neat a round seam can look if the cuts are made evenly. Next, I will make some visible top stitches along the curves. That has two purposes. First of all, keeping the fabric in place, and second, accentuating the pocket's opening. The first line I try to keep only about 2 mm next to the edge. The second one is half a foot width apart from the other one. Next, it's time to connect the two pockets. I pin them together and just sew along the whole bottom line. No need to close the two side seams yet. To keep all the layers in place, I make some extra stitches on the two ends of the pocket openings to connect all layers. After that, I frame the edges of the pocket with an overlock stitch. And that's it for this video. Here you go, these are some typical front pockets for pants. Coming up next is sewing a zip fly. Make sure you don't miss it by subscribing to my channel. Also let me know if you have any questions and drop me a line in the comments. I see you next time, bye!